What are you doing?
Oh my god.
I don't even know what's going on.
Player one. Prepare yourself.
Don't forget to get cards at RitaYanez.com, and so am I. Under your bed.
Turn on the light! Turn on the light!
Hi there, Libra. This is your weekly reading for the week of December 14th through 20th. I hope you're doing well. I hope everything's going great for you in school and that you're on your way to the holiday season. I don't know what part of the world you're in. If you're in the northern hemisphere, then it's probably going to be Christmas season around December 25th. And in the southern hemisphere, I really don't know what you guys do. I know that different cultures have different days for what they refer to Christmas as. I know that being Cuban American, my ancestry's type of Christmas was El Día de los Reyes Magos, the day of the three wise men or the three wizards. And so that's if it was actually a translation, which in the time they actually were some kind of wizards. They were astrologers, and they were looking up at the sky and reporting back that a child had been born and something crazy happened because there's a big star in the sky and it's shining down, a lot of different signs that they had that they carried back. And so they actually knew that there was a great omen was born at around that time. And I think that collectively just December 25th is what it became. But I think that in my parents' country in Cuba, that they actually celebrate it in January. For some reason, I want to say El Día de los Reyes Magos is January 4th or something like that. So different cultures have different ways of doing this. And I think the Germans do Saint Nick. I can't remember if that's Saint Niklaus, but it's interesting to read about the different stories of what people are actually celebrating and how they decorated and what they were giving thanks for, that kind of thing around this time. So I hope you've got a wonderful kind of season lined up. And if you're somewhere in the lower hemisphere, in the southern hemisphere, and it's warm and balmy and amazing, I envy you. On Monday, the card that you've drawn is the Three of Wands, and this is great because it shows me that you're feeling good about looking forward to new experiences in the future. And it could be that you're just excited about next school semester, and it could be that you're excited about being off for the holidays. And for some of you, you've really achieved in terms of improving your grades and being able to have more freedoms because of it. And maybe your family finally lets you take a little part-time job because your grades are stable, that kind of thing. So you've already accomplished a measure of what you wanted to learn. You can imagine that some kids that are dancers, at this point, they've graduated into maybe another level. You could imagine that would be the same feeling that people would have if they're in some kind of martial arts classes or they play on a team, a sport kind of thing, and where you finally get off the bench. You're not warming the bench anymore, but you're actually up to bat. So this could be really great because there's a lot of different ways that this could help you see where your hard work, your persistence, and where your faith in yourself, your courage and confidence has taken you now to where you can look forward to new things to master, new things to accomplish. Maybe you want to take another foreign language. Maybe you've done a couple of years in high school of Spanish and now you've always wanted to learn French, and maybe you only need a couple of years of one language or another, and now you can take another language and see how you like that, right? You guys are communicators, so every time there's a language, you could probably find the linguist is a Libra. On Tuesday, we've got the King of Swords in reverse. So yeah, this guy can be a pain in the ass because I don't know what he's being so difficult about, but obviously, this could be an air sign individual like yourself, so it could be Gemini, Taurus, or excuse me, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, or it could be one of these rising signs or none at all. And this is just somebody who's communicating something very incisively and to the point, and there's no room for negotiation, and this person is in authority, and he might very well be a person in an authority position. So it could be an adult, an elder, a principal, law enforcement, a judge, a public defender, for the few people that actually need those services. You can imagine where we're not always comfortable with, let's just pick on the law enforcement angle. Somebody's busted. Maybe you got a friend who was shoplifting and they were arrested and you were there and you didn't do it, but now you got to explain yourself away. And then this is the guy who sits in the room with you and says, all right, so we know you didn't steal anything, but what are you doing hanging out with that individual? And you're like, what do I say? Do I dig myself a grave if I say anything like I didn't know she was going to steal anything? Will I make it worse for her? The best thing to do when the authority figure is being difficult or just very straight and to the point, non-negotiable kind of terms. Like you can imagine the kid who shoplifted, who's got this person interviewing them. Of course, they're not allowed to do it without the parents present. And the best thing, I know that they can, or they used to be able to in New York. The best thing to do is if you're ever in a position where you're in the hands of an authority figure, I don't care if it's just the principal, that you say, I want my mom or dad or whoever your guardian is right now, please. I'll just wait. Could you please call him or her? And especially if it relates to law enforcement, you don't need to say anything. In fact, if somebody is actually being arrested, you've seen this on shows, right? They have to first advise you of your Miranda rights. So you have the right to remain silent. If you choose not to remain silent, and I don't know this by heart because I've been in trouble. I've just watched a lot of crime shows. If you choose not to remain silent, what you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. So the best thing to do is say, I want my mommy, and let them call your parents so that you're not alone and you have somebody to talk to first. And then just only answer the questions. Don't ad lib and say, well, yeah, I know she's a shoplifter, but what you don't know, she's a stoner too. And on Friday nights, she's doing heroin. And we're like, oh my God. Not that that person doesn't need help, obviously, but that's the way that this guy could come across. So I'm not trying to scare the hell out of you guys, that somebody's going to be busted or somebody's going to go shoplifting. Trust me, it's not worth it. But just make sure that you end up explaining yourself as best possible so that, you can let them know, hey, look, let's just say if you were in that situation, that you say, look, I didn't know that my friend was going to do this. Oh, bullshit, you did. No, actually, I didn't. End of question. And then say, I really want my mom now, and then just let them call them in. But this could be a parent saying something like, no, you can't go to the winter dance. And you're like, dang, I really wanted to wear that dress. Or, come on, I'm not going with a boy. I'm going with my girlfriends. We're just going to go stag and have fun and dance and, wear makeup. And so if you have an answer like this from this person, don't try to buck up against the authority. Just say, all right. As soon as they tell you no, and don't even ask me again, say, all right, I understand. And I appreciate that you've got your reasons. Let me know if you change your mind. And then go about very quietly doing your thing. Don't have a tantrum. Don't stomp your foot. Don't get pissed off. All that will do is cause any riled up or hormonal parent to say things like, and don't ask me next time either with that attitude, Miss Priss. And you're like, dang, So just make sure that you don't say anything there that's going to cause the situation to be worse. Obviously, this is a male, but it could be a very masculine female for that matter. But it definitely is somebody who maybe you don't want to go see the dentist, and this would be the dentist, and you're like, no, I don't want to get my braces tightened again, so just try to make the best of it. We also have Mars and Libra here activated with that opposition of Uranus and Aries, and so again, I'm going to beg you. I will get on my knees and grovel. Say, please, please, please don't lose your temper. Don't say things you'll regret. Especially for those of you that are having some tough times understanding each other, you and your parents or guardians, etc. If you say, Rita, I'm a test tube baby and I have no parents, well then, come on, work with me. It could be your guardians, whatever it is, whatever way you came in. I don't even know. Do people call in vitro fertilization babies? Do they call them test tube? I don't even know how that works. I try to throw everybody in there, make it light for you guys, because I get lots of messages from you all telling me things like, well, no, it isn't quite like this. I was like this, or I was an accident born in a barn. And I'm like, well, that's a great way to enter the universe, right? To come in. Exciting way to come in. So just make sure that you understand I'm not trying to really pigeonhole you guys in any particular way. I throw a lot of words at you to see which ones fit so that you are also able to see how these energies are interpreted, because they can be so vast, so varied. And then, of course, I'm using astrology at the same time as using the tarot and doing my creepy psychic thing. So with that said, remember that you could have a tendency to lose your temper or to get very irritated. You don't want to show frustration, and let me tell you why. Just like you pick up on how your parents feel, and if they're all tense and stressed out, or mom's being just heinous, and then you start to feel that way, vice versa. So you could be in a really foul mood and your little face is screwed up and it's just so cute, but we could tell that you're pissed. And then it rubs off on the parent. And like, let's say they've had a bad day. We're going to have a Uranus in your Uranus, across the sky opposing that Mars. And Mars doesn't really like being in Libra anyway. Because Libra people, unless there's something really messed up with that individual, I'm telling you that I've only seen it a limited number of times. In fact, I can only think of 2 people, and they both have the same kind of problem. I've seen it. They don't think they're alike at all, but absolutely. And the more I studied it, the more I thought, wait a second, right? So yeah, there are some Libra people that could go off flying off the handle, but for the most part, you guys, when everything is fine and you guys are stable and there's nothing else causing problems, there's no psychosis, then you guys really don't want to fight. And what do you think Mars wants to do? Mars wants to put on the boxing gloves or take them off and show up in the ring provoked. And so Mars also can be channeled very well into sports and athletics without pulling a muscle or forgetting to do what I did once, which was I forgot to swing doing a cherry drop on some monkey bars. And those of you that went to school with me know what happened next. 4 hours of surgery on that leg. So just remember that it can make us be a little bit aggressive or a little bit more passionate and exciting. And for you guys, I have a feeling that I would interpret it more of a tendency to be very passionate and driven about a person or a situation where it's more physical. With the adults, it's going to be more psychological. They're actually going to either feel offended very easily, and I'm probably like the person that can offend more people, at one time than just about anybody else. But this is where I think that they have more difficulty controlling themselves, because if they're already on the edge, right, they're about to lose their minds, then they're going to take everything personally, whereas you guys are going to be more prone to channeling it appropriately, which is into a sport, which is into your schooling. Maybe you did, like one of my kids had to take his ACT test today, and I could see that he was stressing out already, and I'm like, dude, calm down, so then I dropped him off so he could do his testing, and that would be the right way to channel that energy, is into improving your grade point average or figuring out where you need to raise it or what the issue is. Maybe you're getting ready to start college in 2016, which is what, of course, you guys should go to college and then never leave. Stay there and get your advanced degrees and finish what you're doing, because by the time you're older, and let's say you're 40 years old and got 2 little kids in cribs and playpens, you're probably not going to find it very easy to go back to school, although for older people, online courses and everything would be great for them. And once the kids are in a routine and people are calmed down. So with that said, you guys are actually going to channel this energy, in my opinion, a lot better than most. And I'm saying this on purpose because I know you see my Knight of Swords. So the Knight of Swords, of course, is kind of aggressive action. And it could be that you're either feeling defensive or you're feeling strong, feeling powerful, my friend. And then, of course, it could be somebody else kind of coming at you with this information and this communication. So this would not be the week that I would suggest anybody get involved in gossiping. The younger Libra types, I don't see that with. Again, this is something I see with like Libras in their 20s. We see that a lot with, they love just exchanging information. It's not really malicious gossip, but they're interested in knowing what's going on with everybody. Like I've said before, different ways that people manifest this energy. you're never going to see a Libra that doesn't like sharing about themselves. If you find one that is antisocial or doesn't want you to know their personal life, or they're all creepy, I got relatives that way, then there's something wrong with them, because Libra's natural operating state is to say, well, yeah, because I've been divorced 17 times and I beat Liz Taylor. And also, I am something of a man whore, but in a good way. So this is something that they love to do. They love to share. They love to exchange. And they're very open and honest and truthy. So this would not be the week that if somebody says to you, your girlfriend says, you know what, do these jeans make my butt look fat? And you're like, oh, Lord, you don't even know shamu is the word. And they're like, I hate you. That could be the kind of reaction that you get this week, even though you're probably right. But the reality is that this could also be for you guys more than likely where you're feeling powerful. Maybe you're competing. Maybe you're in a spelling bee. Maybe these are your final performances for your winter break plays and choruses and your different activities that you do before the end of or the beginning of the winter break in school, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere in the United States. So with that said, just make sure that you don't let people provoke you. And remember, if you ever do feel provoked by somebody, if you're really feeling offended by something they've said and done, first think about how you believe that person meant to come across, because not everybody is good with choosing words. And it isn't just young people with limited vocabularies. You guys actually have more access to greater vocabulary than the adults who are older than you did, because it's just more immediate and it comes to you much more quickly, and not through the boob tube, where people who are just one generation above you had nothing but television and they were being babysat by Pee Wee Herman and any other number of television shows, but no real interaction with adults or with real education, in the early home. Most people started getting pushed into preschool daycare at the time, let's just say kids that were born in the late 70s to early 80s. It still wasn't really corrected and structured. So they were getting more like babysitting and, food fights, and really not getting the kind of education that kids get now in preschool, where, 9 times out of 10, even regular public schools have a preschool for kids that are not in kindergarten yet, and they're doing like a half a day to get these kids up to speed. And I think in the near future, we'll see kids starting school a little bit earlier, that it will be more or less up to the parents, but it'll be becoming more mainstream for the kids to start earlier. So you guys have a greater vocabulary, and thereby an easier and more expressive way with words. And remember, you guys are truthy, very honest people, not hateful, not mean. Never. That's, like I said, every time I give you some kind of a negative association about some of the more undesirable traits of any of the zodiacs for you guys, with the kids, it's less likely. You'll see it more likely with adults who are tweaked in some way, either by the childhood or, maybe biologically. They just kind of came in at a funky angle when they were born. So don't let anybody really provoke you, because like I said, Mars and Libra will be the thing that kind of, you could come out swinging. So I'm kidding, because that's never you guys. But on Thursday, we've got the moon. This is a card that indicates even if you don't know all the answers or you're not sure exactly what's going to happen next, don't worry about it, because this is a card that above all, you guys are good with your intuition. So keep working on that. Keep deciphering it. Like I've given you the example before of if you're walking down a dark alley on the way home from your job at the grocery store or, Burger King or whatever it is, and you get a bad feeling, listen to it. Listen to it. Back out, start running, get help, call somebody. Don't sit on the street. Even if you need to flag down a cop or call 911 and say, I'm just suddenly really scared and I don't know what to do, let one of them help you and you'll be fine, because the intuition is something that needs practice deciphering. So for you to know what danger feels like, for you to learn what it feels like when somebody's just mean and nasty and you know that they're your frenemy at best, that's the kind of thing that you need practice with. Also here, we have Venus and Scorpio sextiling Pluto and Capricorn, Scorpio being your second solar house, of the way that you value yourself or the possessions that you think are a part of you, or for those people who only feel like a total badass ninja if they're wearing, Kobe basketball shoes or whatever it is that they identify with. This could also be where you're like, I don't identify with any of it, because really for Libra, even though you guys love beautiful things, you tend to not over-identify with them. Like if I was going to buy you a present, I wouldn't really buy you a piece of jewelry because you'd be like, meh. I would be better off buying you a journal, buying you a computer, buying you a piece of art, a sculpture, because you guys actually value beauty and harmony and balance and symmetry in a way that a piece of mass-produced jewelry will do nothing for you. But if I bought you a piece of jewelry that was handmade, handcrafted by a gnome in a cave, and his name is Rumpelstiltskin and he's blue, you'd be like, this is really amazing. So again, just work on the way you feel and the way you communicate, because Pluto in Capricorn, your solar fourth house, seems to tell me that there is something about the way that you're starting to appreciate your family home is smoothing things out. Like you're saying, you know what? I understand, even if I did want this expensive PlayStation, and I'm not pimping because they're not paying me, but if you wanted this and you realize, wow, that really equals an entire paycheck for my dad, or, that's what our rent costs, you'd actually start to put it in perspective, saying, you know what I really want is just to be with the people I love and the people that love me and my good friends, my tribe. And so at that point, you'll realize that things are not as difficult to deal with, and other people may be more concerned about what gifts to give or receive, or how they identify with that, than you are. It's probably not going to be you. So you're still a kid, though. I mean, look, if you really want the Barbie freaking dream house tower thing of a condo, of course, but you'd be just okay saying, hey, you know what, why don't we wait until after Christmas when those sales start happening, because nobody's buying anything. Then I go back on Amazon and my Barbie dream house isn't $125 anymore, it's $70. And you're like, I can do that with my Christmas money. So whatever it is that makes you happy, understand that it will actually be solidifying your idea of what home and family and foundation is. Even if your home and family is your dad and he's had a stroke and he's disabled, and your cat Bob and you. That's a beautiful family right there. And this is where you could really enjoy your company, your time with this person. Maybe you'll be allowed to bring a friend over, or you and your dad will visit someone else, or maybe you go work at a soup kitchen this holiday season and you're like, I am just feeling amazing. So here also on Friday, we've got the Nine of Swords in reverse, and this is a card that indicates that you're feeling better about any recent stressors. And it could just be that simply you have been very stressed out about your final grades for this semester, this quarter, whatever system your school uses. Maybe you're feeling like you've been under a lot of pressure because you've actually been pulling a little more than your weight. Maybe some of you have been actually working that part-time job, getting the great grades, or doing your best and watching over your siblings because your mom doesn't come home from work until 10, which means that you've already got those kids out the door with you in the morning. And so you might be feeling a little bit tired, but let me tell you, there is no better character building than to have to actually mind your siblings during a time that you've been watching everybody else just goof off and, put chalk in their hair and do whatever the heck anybody else does. But trust me, it's going to make you such an amazing person. And this isn't foreign and this isn't new. It's just that people who have been coddled with every material accoutrement and every benefit don't know what it was like for people generations before you who actually had to work, because if not, the family would starve during times like the Great Depression. Nobody was really focused on education unless you were from the ultra wealthy families where you could afford higher education and psychiatry, because only the rich people got that. So sorry about that. I actually scooted that card back. On Saturday, we've got the Ten of Wands in reverse, which is just reminding you that things are improving. Believe it or not, they truly are. And you're starting to realize that all the hard work, all of your contributions are recognized and appreciated. And even if nobody ever comes out and says, thank you, sweetheart, for doing everything you do to get your brother or sister out the door, breakfast, and you're like, it's fine, Mom, I love you. I'm helping. Even if you never hear that kind of thanks, just know that the universe is totally aware of your contributions, your sweetness, your loving spirit, maybe you're the best bro ever because you're not just getting your siblings out the door, you're making sure that your neighbor siblings are on the bus at the same time. Maybe you are a badass honey badger and you are able to do all this without even breaking a sweat. It still is a lot on the mind. So you need time to draw and color and play video games and play with your friends and to sit around having girl talk or guy talk. You still need that, okay? One way or another, you got to get it, even if it is just over messaging or the internet, if you're lucky enough to have that at home all the time and that kind of thing. Make sure that you connect with your friends, at least at school, on your walks home, to make sure that you get that you time in there. Being able to be a teenager and to be free, okay? You're going to live. Everybody will be fine, but not everybody is happy about not getting the recognition, although I guarantee you that the universe And I also think that you are a badass honey badger. So the Hierophant here on Sunday is a card that indicates that doing the right thing will bring you blessings in whatever way you identify with higher power, spirit, spirituality. This doesn't have to be about religion, although there's plenty of people that do religion in their own way. And here in the United States, everybody has the right to worship peacefully and sweetly, whatever way they want to, as long as it harms none, right? Old witches' creed, harm young, none, do as ye will. Just don't hurt people. So whatever it is that you choose to identify with as a higher power here for you is indicative of doing the right thing, bringing you rewards, whether karmic, dharmic, whether it is just good stuff from the universe saying, hey, look, this kid has really worked long and hard. Let's throw a scholarship at this one, $500 here. Oh, wait, did you know she was an underwater basket weaver? $300 over there from another scholarship, which all of it adds up. It's money you don't have to spend on your books and supplies. So there's going to be rewards coming to you. For some of you, you may need to shake it up a little bit, and maybe you need to think outside a little. You know, maybe you're conditioned in a home where you only see things one way, your way, and this is the only way, and this is the only right way. And maybe you're realizing, wow, you know what? I'm reading current events and I realize that everybody should be free to do what they do as long as they don't hurt anybody. As long as they're just good, solid people doing whatever they do. I suppose they have every right to put, gauges in their ears or get a piercing or a weird I am like not a tattoo person at all. But, people should be allowed to do whatever they do within the scope of the law. And if they're happy having, a butterfly tattooed on their dang forehead and they're 21 years old or whatever, then more power to you. That's weird. But the rest of us believe that part of being a human in the human experience is being an individual. And you Libra types tend to be pretty conservative, but you're so creative that I'm almost sad when I don't get to see one of you drawing, sculpting, playing the piano or some other instrument or appreciating art. And maybe you've got a trick up your sleeve that you're actually saving money so that before you start college, you're going to take a trip somewhere to study some beautiful monuments like the Lincoln Memorial. Maybe you want to see the Statue of Liberty. Maybe you want to see the Louvre. Maybe you want to see pyramids, and of course, if travel becomes more safe, because yes, there are crazy people in the world hurting other people in the name of something that is actually such a blasphemy, in my opinion. But, there are things that you've got on your horizon, my friend. And if you just stay positive and understand that the universe knows all the good that you've done, and it always repays goodness and kindness with kindness and goodness, you'll see you're well on your way to having a fantastic 2016. Have a good week and let me know how you're doing.
Game.